What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads, fathers, and male caregivers that's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And since 2020, it's now 2026. The movement that I'm a part of with this dads thing has reached out directly and indirectly to over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. And sooner rather than later, I'm looking forward to sharing with you, it's gone to 500,000 individuals. So as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. I want to say happy 2026 to everybody. And most people I know are saying they're happy that 2025 is done, but then many people I'm speaking to in 2026 saying, where's the time going already? We've only been around for like 10 days. Don't rush the year, family. So we look forward to another great year of you supporting us and us supporting you any way we can. But it's not about me. You know it's not about me. It's these two wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people that, you know what, make my life better. And I think they make your life better too. Aisha K. Staggers and Laura Lala Key, miss, as Janet Jackson would say, miss you much. Yes. Well, you know what? I last night I was just doing I had some casual time. Yeah. And I watched the extended remix version of Michael Jackson's song Jam with Michael Jordan in it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so cool. And then I was also watching, I'm seeing Jam and Lewis, especially Jimmy Jam, doing a lot of interviews these days.
Yes, he's doing a lot.
And he said that, long story short, the song That's the Way Love Goes almost never became a single.
Yeah.
And it was sharing great storytelling behind that. But ladies, thank you. Thank you for putting up with me for another year. Looking forward if you can tolerate me for another year, and here to support you any way I possibly can. Miss you much.
It's not you. It's can we tolerate the heavy weight of all of this? It's just 10 days. It's just 10 days, and it's like a year and a week. Whew.
You know, and already in the house, Jen Myers, Happy New Year.
Hey, Jen.
Enlightened Beings. Love first, welcome back, Happy New Year. Yeah, we miss having both these ladies on. The last time we were live, I was at my parents' place because my internet was down, and Aisha did.
I was supposed to be off.
Oh yeah, she handled it all, and then some. But Lala, we miss you.
I miss me too. I miss me too. I
haven't spoken to you since last year. So did anyone have any really cool food over the holiday season?
Oh, so much.
Yeah, I made a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Christmas dinner. I mean, from scratch, some of my mother's recipes that I pull out during Christmas time, because, in those days you would be cooking 3-4 weeks sometimes on getting things together. So there's certain recipes that I do of my mom's that I pull out just at Christmas.
Yeah. I had one request. My sister's boyfriend he's from Dominica. I believe that's the name of the island.
Oh, Dominican?
No, he's not the Dominican Republic.
Okay.
Dominica.
Okay.
And he made me some stewed chicken, brown and rice, and the rice was made with coconut, chopped onions, and sazon, and it was, oh my God, it was so good. That was the only thing I wanted.
No, I went to a few dinners, but it's funny. I had one portion and that was it. I didn't overstuff myself. But one of the things I became a big fan of, I went to 2 dinners and they served Brussels sprouts. And I hadn't been a big fan of Brussels sprouts in a long time. And one of the dinners, they had Brussels sprouts. They had some other stuff, like there's mushrooms and cranberry seeds. It was so good. Like, that's the thing I ate the most over the holiday season. That one that was just so good.
Oh, I love Brussels sprouts roasted in
I
the
do
oven
too.
with balsamic.
That's my favorite way to have them. Yes, it's
With
so
balsamic
good.
vinegar?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You gotta get a really good quality, thick balsamic vinegar, and you just put like some coarse sea salt over it, drizzle with balsamic, toss it, and roast it in the oven.
So good. I could sit there and eat that all day.
It's
Whoever heard of just sitting there popping Brussels sprouts?
All day.
Me too, though. It is a simple recipe, and I mean, it's so good. The sugar's caramelized in the vinegar, and give it a little sweetness, but it's got that tang from the vinegar part of it. And the Brussels sprouts, it's like a full flavored vegetable. I really like it.
Well, it's interesting. So this week I went out to a restaurant, and it was funny because it's a fairly big size restaurant. It was dead, which was
Really
not a surprise because it's January, because everyone's got to wait for their credit card bill to
Right.
come, right? And so I ordered an entree with the first entree was Brussels sprouts, and it's supposed to be really spicy and tasty. It was so flat. I mean, it was really flat. Now, hail out to the
Oh, I hate
waitress.
to hear that.
No, but you know what? It's okay, because I'll say the waitress, Caitlin, who was amazing. She just right from the greeting at the front door, she was fantastic. And at the end of our meal, she said, "So what do you think about the meal?" I said, "Well, gotta admit, the appetizer was disappointing. It was flat." She goes, "I'm so sorry to hear about it. I'll make sure I take it off the bill." Okay. So I went, okay. And you know what? I forgot. And I usually, when things like that happen to me in a restaurant, I usually say, who's your manager? I just want to compliment you on your service. So I'll probably do it via their website, because I just said she was just really good. Yeah, she was saying, yeah, that was good. And then I said, I ordered an entree, and I said, what's the healthiest thing on the entree? There was this chicken thing that was really good. So that ended it on a high.
I love having good food, but you know what? I'm so tickled that I can do it in my kitchen now that
Yeah.
I don't even like to go out.
Yeah.
I don't even like to go out no more.
Yeah.
So,
I really do prefer cooking at home. Just, yeah. And even then, some of the simplest meals, like last night, I just wanted salad. And it was just, I just
There
had
you go.
some spring greens, chopped tomato, cucumber.
There you go.
You season the lettuce. You got to season your lettuce with a little adobo. Sprinkle some adobo on, I promise you. And just a simple Italian vinaigrette. And that was all I wanted. And I put a little, just a drizzle of blue cheese with the Italian vinaigrette. And it was just the simplest salad. So good. It was exactly what I wanted.
Well, it's interesting you say that. When was the last time you bought salad dressing?
I haven't. Ever since I've learned to make mine at home. I even have a really simple recipe for ranch, which is my favorite. I don't buy it anymore. It's so much nicer when you make it yourself.
Healthier. Yeah, like me, I can't tell you the last time I bought salad dressing. Hey, call me simple, family, but I just use lemon vinaigrette.
But
lemon juice, olive oil, a little bit of salt. That's it.
But I'll buy the refrigerated ones, and then I still doctor them because they're still not seasoned enough for me. I like seasons. My mother has this really good recipe for this Dijon that I love. And when she makes that, it just brings up I don't know, it gives the fresh dressing made from scratch, just gives us like springy pop,
Nice.
to salad. Yeah.
So Regina said how she goes, Happy New Year. Is it over yet?
Yeah.
Is it over yet?
That's how I feel. No, but that's how I feel.
So do you have something you want to achieve this year? Or you just want to No.
I didn't set any look, I didn't set any resolutions. My goal is to just get through every day,
There
one
you
day
go.
at a time. That's my goal this year.
I
Okay.
have deemed this the year unresolution year. I don't have any. I didn't pick a word. I just want to be able to be as authentic as possible. And sometimes that may not sit well with people, but you know, I'm kind of tired. I'm exhausted of always putting the smile on a face when you're just not feeling it. And you just have to be okay with that sometimes. And that's where I am right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and you
So
know what?
really, you're-
Resolutions, when you don't meet them, you always feel like a failure. And why would anyone want to start that? Most people within 3 weeks have just, abandoned all their resolutions.
Yeah,
Right.
they say before February, you're done. First 28 days.
I just live by words of the year. I don't do the resolution thing. A word is more than enough resolution. My resolution is to enjoy everyday life. That's my resolution to the best of my abilities. Speaking about being yourself, this is one of Lala's friends that accepts her as being herself. Michelle,
Hey,
hey,
girl. Hey, I'm so glad you came tonight.
this is good. This is good. And we got families. Looks like they've been waiting for us back. By the way, Aisha K. Staggers, the last time you were on live, there were so many views of that conversation.
The trolls. The trolls.
Your fan club came out.
You mean my hate club?
Baby, if you ain't got haters, you ain't doing something right.
Right.
Also, Michelle says you have to write them down, but some people don't need to write down goals to achieve things like Dr. Vibe. Oh, okay. Check out Harada Method. All right. Well, thank you for the tip.
He always comes with some serious facts. Michelle, you're so good.
You just come with it really nice.
That is such a good idea. I've actually started doing that. Like I followed this. I decided I was going to follow the law of 3 this year. So every day I write down 3 things I'm going to do.
Oh,
and that's it. And that is it. If what I don't accomplish beyond those 3 things,
that's good.
Okay, that I can try again tomorrow. But I when you try to do 2, I think what overwhelms people is knowing that you have to do all the things and feeling like you have to do all the things in one day. No, I'm just going to do 3 things today.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
I've gone back to old school checklists where I write them down myself, and I just check them off. It's something really rewarding though about physically doing it with pen and paper.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I've gotten back down to I went and got a planner. I actually have 2, one for health stuff and then one for regular stuff. And a detailed one where I can write notes, I can take care of things. If I need to stop and write down some feelings, I write those down. It's a really thick one.
Yeah.
Bound one, but I love it. Sometimes you have to go back, and I feel that way with even just writing. Sometimes I just put my laptop away and sit with pen and paper.
Well, I've picked back up the Artist Way again. I had put it down for a little bit because it was really hitting home. And, sometimes you just have to stop and take a breather. And I took a breather with that book, but I'm back to writing my morning papers, which I absolutely love because it's not like a journal thing. You just write down your flow of consciousness. And if you don't even have anything to say, you could just say, blah, 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 blah. But it's something that really kind of taps into your creative self. And so I've picked that up this week.
These are just on fire. Michelle goes, I literally just learned the Harada method yesterday. I'm with Dr. Vibe and Lala. I have a to-do list. When humans write things down, we remember better. Yeah. I'm noticing. And the thing is, I had lost my notebook this week and I was in a little bit of inner panic and I found it.
Oh, no.
I know I found it 2 days ago. No, and the funny thing is, I didn't look down at my office. It was at my feet. I'm looking all around the house. When I'm sure people can relate when you lose something and you're searching, and then when you least expect to go, oh, it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And you know what
Michelle,
else
you
I
said
take
a
into
revolution. I'm a
but you know what
5-star Mead notebook person. I have a color for each year. Hello?
I love Mead notebooks. I have quite a few that are like brand new that I just picked up, and I'm telling you, I the thing I've gone back to doing is uh reading morning papers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because and not just United States ones, reading papers and things from across the world, because um I think um we're not we're not getting a full story and a
No.
full understanding of what's going on in this country until we see what everyone else is seeing and saying, because we're at a point right now where American news, American mainstream media is really propaganda TV at this point. And so going back and reading the actual papers, the print things, whether it be on a tablet or it be an actual paper at a library, I think it is really important, and that's something that I'm committed to doing for the year. Loree Daniel Favors, who I follow on Sirius XM, Urban View, has this thing called Read Three, Write One. Read 3 pages a day and write 1 page in from different sources. And so I've committed to doing that. I'm reading more per day, but I'm like reading 3 news outlets outside of the U.S. per day. That's what my goal is. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Impressive. All right. So, and Fitness IQ Cam, who usually is doing her show in a few minutes, she goes, "Wowzer, literally under your nose, aka feet." Yes, my nose and feet. My big size feet. I'm gonna say what size here. My big size feet. I'm just gonna leave it at that. So let's take. Oh, hold on. Michelle says, "Yes, Aisha, I'm using my VA and just a virtual assistant and friends who are outside the U.S. What is their news saying about us?" Yes.
Eye-opening.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. I'd be very curious right now, and maybe I start taking more look what Europe is saying about the United States, but we'll get to that. We're gonna
Yeah.
We're
take a
gonna
break.
get to it.
I can imagine what they're saying, but we'll leave it at that. So we are gonna take a quick break, and we'll be back in 15 seconds. Here we go.
Watch Black Canada Talking live on Sundays at 5 p.m. Eastern, where Dr. Vibe and Cesar de Mamusa give their takes and POVs on news stories from a Black Canadian perspective.
Okay, we are back, and definitely check us out on Sunday afternoons at 5 p.m. Eastern. Myself and Cesar de Mamusa, mainly Cesar, because he's such a heck of an intelligent guy, lays down the stuff in regards to what's going on in the world from a Black Canadian perspective. All right, we got another. Oh, look at this. Michelle's wanted to dominate the show. It goes, read 3 pages from news outlets and write 1 page to recap what you read. Do this daily. Aisha, is this correct? So she's verifying what you do, Aisha.
Yeah, I either recap what I read, my feelings about it, how I'm processing it, or even if it triggers something else that I want to write about or work on. But I read 3 pages. I have chosen outlets, so choosing longer form articles in 3 papers per day. But yeah, read 3 pages of really good news from news outlets outside the country, preferably, and write 1 page recap of what you do. Even start with the way that she started with is just 3 pages and 1 paragraph. Even just write 1 paragraph. But definitely that is what that's what I'm doing, just because getting this, seeing what they're writing about us, like in Nigeria after those attacks, listening to what Europe is saying after the stuff with Greenland that we're going to talk about later, hearing what China is, what they're printing and telling their people about the things going on, with what Japan is saying, what they're saying in Australia, in South America, look at their papers. And it also helps with me trying to brush up on my Spanish too. And so those things, really going and seeing, hey, what's the world saying about us? And I always start with our neighbors to the north and south, with Canada and Mexico, because baby, when stuff is popping off over here, I want to know what they're thinking, because we may not be able to escape.
Okay, let's leave that to later. All right, let's get to some things here. Girlfriends chat with Aisha, Lala, Jill Jones. Aisha, when will that be moving to YouTube?
We actually have to decide when we're going to do our first show of the year. So
Okay,
as soon as
we'll
we
leave it at
decide
that.
that is when I'm setting up the channel. So
All right.
we'll probably
Okay,
have that
good.
conversation this week, right, Lala?
Yes.
It's just been it's been
Yeah, it's been
It's been hell.
the last month has been something.
Okay. Well, it will eventually get over to YouTube, and when it does, we'll tell you. And I'm looking forward to it being on YouTube. All right, Primetime Saturday store. There is the link there. Join the Discord group. Please email me at dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com or click on the link. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show and hit the notification button. So for those who've been around, the Dr. Vibe Show hit 2,000 subscribers on YouTube a few weeks ago. And again, one of the main reasons, these two wonderful ladies. And believe it or not, only 10% of all YouTube channels have over 1,000 subscribers. Another interesting fact I found out the other day, a lot of people publish to YouTube and they go, oh my gosh. It's a very small amount of YouTube posted videos get over 100 subscribers. So people are in that struggle. Don't feel bad. Just keep persistent. That's my encouragement. And then also like the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. If you want to advertise your business, product, or service on any platforms I'm a part of, please feel free to email me, dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. And here's someone who doesn't have any difficulty about subscribers, Dr. Tachi. Shot Indie Sue TV with 28,000 subscribers, a little bit over 2 years. There's the YouTube channel, and there is the website. Also, too, again, for Regina, one day you'll do this. Go to, if you want to call in, callme.road.com and use the code FSPL8L. That's one of my resolutions for this year. Regina will call in or appear on a show this year.
Regina, we putting the pressure on you.
Yeah, I'm not putting full court press yet. I'm doing a half court press right now. As the year goes on, I may turn into a full court press after every inbound. Not just joking. Just good to have you here. Well, it's been a while since you ladies been around, and things never stop. But I think the first thing we may want to chat about today is
America's Americaing.
ICE agent kills Renee Nicole Good in Minneapolis. What really happened, or what's going on? Like, there's so many different aspects on this one. Who wants to start?
I will, because okay, so I am. There's a lot of ways to look at this, as if in case anybody has been under a rock. ICE killed a mom of 3 in her car, shot her. They confronted her and shot her for what really appears like no apparent reason, because it is nothing she did warranted being killed or was illegal. Protesting is not illegal, and even more video they tried to release to show her actual words, exchange of words. There was nothing there. So I'm more not stunned, but thinking about the way in which this administration has gone to great lengths to tarnish her reputation before they even knew anything about her. They didn't even know her name, and they called her a domestic terrorist. And I'm also, but then I'm not stunned, because they did this before in 1965, the FBI, when Viola Liuzzo was murdered by the Klan, who was also a white woman. They went through great lengths to tarnish her reputation. I actually had a conversation via my Blue Sky with her daughter-in-law not too a few days ago, and how it's hard for them because they're still getting death threats 60 years later. And
Oh my God.
the government is doing this to this woman. And, she's got children that are 15, a child that's 15 and one that's 12, and then the 6-year-old that she has lost both parents. And there's not 1 ounce of sympathy from this administration for the loss or for her family. They have been trying to blame this woman for her own murder. And the most disturbing thing, I think, for me is that the ways in which we have been saying this kind of stuff was going to happen. It's going to escalate this far. And the outrage that I do see a lot of white people very outraged, white women in particularly, but you're not outraged enough.
Exactly.
Because I have been challenging white women specifically on my Blue Sky account to stand for Renee Good the same way that we as Black women are still standing for Sandra Bland and Breonna Taylor. Because here's the thing, this government has already set up with the stuff and all the things that they're talking. This government has really put forth the full weight of we already knew they were coming after the rest of us. I just think that the understanding that they're going to come for you too was something that I don't think they anticipated.
No, even though we said it, they just couldn't comprehend it.
Right. And hear me on this. They went through to pick out the fact that I went and took a peek on the dark side. They're like, oh, well, she's got a wife, she's LGBTQ. That doesn't justify state murder. That doesn't justify state murder. Well, she should have just complied. Well, they should not have been given conflicting directions. And I'm sorry, but if at the very end of the video that they've released, right? He calls her a fucking bitch.
Yes.
That is as egregious as the thing that I know, the last thing that any Black person heard before they were lynched was the N-word. And then they have been trying to do martyr for martyr. So no, well, Ashley Babbitt, well, here's the thing. Ashley Babbitt was breaching federal property in a safety place for the Speaker of the House. They had already trespassed. That was there. This woman was on a public street in Minneapolis, her neighborhood, looking out for her neighbors. And here's the thing. If those ICE agents were dead set on arresting her, where's the warrant? They didn't read her rights. They never once identified who they were. And they never once said, we're going to arrest you for X, Y, and Z. They did have video of her car. They had her license plate. They could have followed her. And the lies from the very, very beginning were what bothered me was the lie about, oh, well, guess what? They were trying to dig their thing out, dig the car out the snow. They were driving SUVs and pickup trucks. And I live in snow. And it was sunny out here. It was sunny out there. There were no snowdrifts on the ground. And even if there were, those vehicles that they had don't need to be dug out of snow. I drive a Nissan Sentra, and I drove over more snow than was on that ground the same day. So none of this is really surprising to any of us who've seen this kind of state violence against us before. But I recognize that we've got a demographic now that is experiencing this for the first time and not sure what to do about it. Get angry.
We say this all the time. We say this on all of our shows. You cannot cover everything yourself, but there is something out of this whole flooding of of garbage that is being put us, because that is what the goal is. They've said it, they've told us that they're going to flood absolutely everything, and that is exactly what they're doing. So you need to pick a lane and you need to fight in that lane as hard as you can, because I'm guaranteeing you there are more of us than there are them. But if we still continue to sit back and we just go, oh, that's horrible, oh, that's mad, oh, but you're not doing anything, then you're also part of the problem, because each and every one of us can use our voice and we can take action on what's happening and what's not being reported about this. Because, you know, you hear such conflicting information, because that's their point. They want to put out as much as they can. JD Vance is just a Yahoo out here hollering bullshit because he thinks he can. He's nothing but a big ass baby talking about what you did, and that's, he just wants attention because he thinks he's the next in line, right? But you know, you have to really pay attention to what's going on in your areas too, because this isn't just in Minnesota. This isn't just in, they're actually doing things in Tennessee and things that are not being reported. You have to pick your lane and fight like hell.
Yeah. And there were protests here locally, and the ICE agents were spraying pepper spray at protesters here, just standing outside. And you know what you said, Lala, about protesting and doing something. Here's the thing. Dissent and resistance is not comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think what people are waiting for is to not be inconvenienced about having to protest, and to figure out a way to do it comfortably. And not only are they waiting for a space to do it comfortably, but waiting for the people who are used to doing these things, because they've absorbed the brunt of state violence in this country, is not going to work this time. Because guess what? You're asking us to put our trauma on Front Street so that you can go sit at home with yours. And that's not going to work anymore. And so people are really at a point now where here, guess what? It doesn't even have to be on this issue. And I think that's the thing that people are misunderstanding. And I hear people saying, oh, well, this whole thing is to distract us from the Epstein files. Well, guess what? Everything is to be a distraction from the next harm. So guess what? They're doing all the things at once. And you can protest all the things at once, or you can protest the thing that bothers you. But the bottom line is what this administration is doing across the board to American people is wrong. And then they are trying to tell you you're not feeling, you're not experiencing, and you're not seeing what you saw. They spent the day day before this murder trying to rewrite the history of January 6th as a peaceful protest. And then the next day, a peaceful protest that we all saw live as it was happening on TV. They tried to rewrite that the day before. And then the next day, they're telling us a murder that we saw was not.
We didn't see that.
We didn't see murder. What we saw was self-defense, and none of that's right. And here's the thing about JD Vance. JD Vance got a little bit too close to the white supremacist vagina left behind by Charlie Kirk. And
he sure did.
Here's his thing that he needs to understand. You're only going to have about another week of grabbing these headlines for running your mouth recklessly before Donald Trump smacks you in it, because his ego is far bigger than yours, and he does not like having his vice president or anyone under him
get any attention.
And especially not any attention that's going to try and make them look like a leader. Not going to do it.
Trump has already said, it's because he was asked by a reporter what it is that would stop him or slow him down. He was like, nothing is going to slow me down except my own mental. And that is a very frightening thing. He has emboldened himself because he is very well protected by the Supreme Court. They've already lined him up on the golden toilet path, and he thinks that he is completely touchable. And the way things are going, he is untouchable. And that's what's so very sickening and disappointing. And these are words that just don't even explain it strong enough, because we know what history has done and we are going right down the same path. Other countries are like, you sure you want to do this? You sure you want to do this? And everybody's saying, we don't know what to do. Yes, you still have the power to stand up and fight for our country. It's disheartening. It's very disheartening. I had to protect my peace so hard over these last 10 days, in the fact that you go and you try to find out what's going on. You want to make sure that you're staying up to date. And then you see all the comments that are under the things that are being posted. And, you see some of them are trolls. We know how to flesh those out, but there are real people who aren't the trolls that are like championing this, and they don't even understand the danger they are in. As long as they think it's someone else, it's okay for them. But the minute it comes to their door, it will be an injustice.
Yeah. And here's the other part too, right? When we talk about what can be done, what needs to be done, honestly, I heard someone on Black Talk Radio say this in a comment, and it was the smartest thing. Definitely, we have to flip the House and then make sure, and get seats in the Senate, and make sure then that we impeach Trump and JD Vance at the same time.
Yeah.
Because that's
Mike will fall immediately.
Well, Mike will fall. If we control the House, that ends up with a president, Democratic leader, speaker. That person eventually falls in that. But beyond just that, I think we need to be even more frightened than we are, because one of the things that I learned, and also reading the New York Times, which is widely inconsistent depending on which reporter you're listening to.
Yeah.
I was amazed that Ashley Parker was on with somebody and couldn't call Stephen Miller a white nationalist. Stephen Miller's a white man. And it's like, girl, because you'd want to keep that access open. So like I said, mainstream media is becoming propaganda TV. But one of the things that I learned, because I'd always suspected it, is that he's getting fed AI slop. He's getting fed videos that are not true. They are selectively showing him things because the New York Times reporter said, hey, have you seen this? Let's watch it together. Excuse me. And they show him the video from a vantage point, from the main video that everybody else saw. And he would, those video, because they're showing him a video from an angle that's insincere and would appear like, oh, well, he got run over and she ran him over and whatever. And the way that he reacted was as if it was the first time that he saw that video. And then you go over to a Fox News and you realize they're showing their people that same video. They're not seeing what the rest of us saw. And Sean Hannity had someone, one of their reporters who was on the ground interviewed this guy. They thought they were going to interview found this white guy that they thought was going to be somebody that they could really get to say something. And the guy was just like, no, it was cold-blooded murder.
So did.
And just kept going. And then Sean Hannity,
and they couldn't shut him up.
Right, they couldn't shut him up. And Sean Hannity kept trying to lead the question. And the guy was like, no, this is what's what. And he could not stop that from happening. And see, I have total, not total faith or things like that. The things that people are worried about, are the things that are not things that they need to be worried about. So it's like, for example, they're worried about trans people in different bathrooms, but who busted in women's bathrooms in New York City? They were ICE agents telling these women, pull your pants up, get dressed in a women's bathroom. They came in unannounced. Okay. And we already know that some of these people have convictions for sexual assault, because we've seen, and what did I say last year? They're hiring bounty hunters.
Yes, they are.
And when we are at a point where we're giving gamers badges and guns in 47 days of training because Trump thinks that number 47 is cute because he's the 47th president, more of this is going to happen.
And here's the thing that is so, woo, y'all, we are beyond the danger zone. We are in atomic alert because they have actually put out memos to these ICE agents that they want them to start recording what they're doing so they can use it for social media and to get more eyes on them, to make them look like superheroes. They have literally put that out. Not only did they literally put that out, y'all, there are several Hollywood production companies that are putting together these films for their social media to change the narrative of what they're doing to make them look like fucking heroes. So you have all of this stuff going on, and it truly is. You cannot believe what you see in certain things because there's so many AI things that are out there now that are also false. So you see, we are getting hit from all sides. It's hard not to wake up in the morning and feel depressed about what's going on in your country because you are very oppressed.
Right.
And it's just not being reported properly. And you must find the right outlets to telling you the truth.
Yeah. And I've got some questions, just some practical questions. Like, for example, why was he using his cell phone to record? Where are the body cameras? Why are they driving rental cars that don't have dash cams? These are because if you want to get the video there, period. And because here's the thing, if they're dealing with what you say are potentially dangerous situations, shouldn't they have both hands free? And also what I want to know is this: what hand does he write with? And the reason I asked that, and I asked that as a left-handed person who picked up on something that most right-handed people don't pick up on right away, because the world is made for right-handed people. If I'm taking a cell phone video, being the left-handed person I am, I'm gonna hold my phone in the left hand, right? If I need to use something for a weapon, I'm gonna have that thing in my left hand because that's my dominant hand. I have more control over it. He was filming with his right. He had the gun in the left. And he started out by filming before he had the gun out. So that tells me that he was using his dominant hand.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you shooting without your, if you're so worried, you know what I mean? There are things that don't make sense. And the whole notion that Christy, she stalked them all day. Well, no, because guess what? Daycares and elementary schools now have, guess what they have outside their front doors? Cameras. And they videotape everybody that comes in there to bring their kids to school. You know why? Because especially after December 14th, 2012, when elementary school kids in Connecticut got murdered in their schools were rushing to put their cameras back up because this country has decided we would rather let kids die than deal with our gun issue. And so if she was following them all day, then, hey, where's the video from this outside the school? Show us, because she couldn't have been outside the school all day if she was following them. And let's be very clear. This happened at 10 o'clock in the morning, Minnesota time, Central time. So that's not all. There's no way that she could have been following them all day and getting her kids ready for school. It's just
not only that, what they did right after that, because everybody's so focused on what happened to Renee, these people did that and then still continue to go on and terrorize in other ways. They literally stormed a school
Yes.
after they did
The
this.
same ones after. Because here's the thing. If you got run over and taken to the hospital, how is it that you were able to walk back to your pickup truck, leave the scene of a crime, or even hell, suppose you're saying it's not a crime, but you left the scene of a police shooting, went someplace else. And not only that, but if he had such trauma and a PTSD reaction to being dragged 6 months prior, why was he back on the street?
You should have never, even police officers don't get put back on the street for that. You got to go through therapy.
Right.
Do I have permission to interrupt?
Yes.
Yes.
There have been a myriad of comments we need to catch up on. So I wanted to let you live and breathe this concept, but I said I don't want people to feel like we're totally ignoring them. So I want to catch up on some comments. So Regina says, maggots going on about Ashley Babbitt to Renee Good is the usual insanity. The reliable lack of critical thinking skills. J.R. Houston Jack, good to see you. Happy New Year to you. It is everywhere, and they're actively working to overwhelm us in all ways. Yep. NY Birdman says 47 in this administration ain't doing nothing conservatives didn't ask for.
This is true.
Regina says, I've been protesting every week. No rioters, trolls spreading misinformation. JR,
that's what gets uplifted in the news. Right. All the stuff that you shouldn't be hearing, that is the propaganda that was the exact same thing that happened in with Hitler.
And let me be clear about something, right? They want us to believe that this guy was operating in self-defense, and then when police pepper spray someone and your reaction is to defend yourself, they then want those people to be calm and quiet.
But then a question comes up.
Isn't self-defense worth it?
She was unarmed.
Yeah. And so are the people that they're pepper spraying.
These things out here, like I'm just putting it out there, and she was driving away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, let's continue on.
But remember, the first thing they told her was to leave.
Yeah. Sexy Red.
But then when you have, I'm so sorry, I have to say this, because you also have to understand, when you have more than one person yelling at you, who do you follow?
And then they start approaching you like a gang. They look, and let's be very clear, and they look like a gang as they're approaching you, because these are masked people. And let's be very clear. The video that they produced, that JD Vance was so proud to share, has her saying, "Man, I'm not mad at you." So they can't even say that she was angry and yelling. The person that was talking, that he was getting into a verbal thing with, was her wife, and he didn't like that, because not so much the fact that she says, guess what? People say things. The police can't just sit here and disrespect people and expect people not to react and then get their feelings hurt if somebody says, fuck you back to them, right? But
it's a one-way street.
Exactly. But they were more upset that this woman was gay, okay, that he's confronting. She's outside the car. So then he turns his attention back. And see, that for me is like, wait a second. You realize she wasn't a threat to you, because she said, "I'm not mad at you," and you walk away with the camera, because we see it on camera. You walk away to the other person. So how is it the person that you walked away from end up shot? If you were so frightened, why did you walk away before shooting? So there's nothing about this story that's consistent. Because guess what? When something's true, you don't need to have inconsistent stories.
And believe me, baby, it's all inconsistent. But what we're going to return back to is the fact that this is a new world where everyone has a camera. You cannot deny the truth. You can spin any way that you want to, but when you have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different independent people filming from different angles, you cannot deny the truth, period.
And here's the other, and let me be very clear. The other thing, the other reason that they had to really get in front of this before it happened is because there was a witness within range, and they weren't sure that that witness, what she had on video, her wife had just gotten out the car. So she could hear everything that was going on, and she was recording. That happened in 1965 too with Viola Davis, because the man she was driving around played dead when the Klan shot up her car. And how else did the FBI know? Because their informant was in the car with the Klan and did nothing to stop them. Okay, so can we trust that? Wait, the government came and took away all the evidence. And here's the thing, when you don't, this government is continuously trying to cover things up, and they're making the FBI do it. You're covering up the Epstein files, and now you're not even letting the state agencies have access to the information.
That is concerning.
That is a cover up, because guess what? If it goes out the way that you said and you have nothing to hide, guess what? Yeah. The medical examiner, the trajectory of the bullets, all that stuff is going to prove your story, but they know otherwise.
Wow. When I heard that, I went, wow, something fishy there. Something very, very, very fishy. Okay, I'll get to this in just a second. Okay. J.R. Houston Jack says some of those ICE agents are also criminals.
Of course they are.
Sexy Red says the Democrats need to take back the White House, reverse everything 47 did. Regina says that geeky dude they interviewed on Fox was brilliant. Have someone else here from saying Fox News is a paid fake news that works for 47.
Of course. But what is it now? That's the thing. Yeah. Which news outlet isn't now? We can't just say it's Fox anymore.
CBS.
CBS.
Hell, yeah. PBS is gone.
Not
but you know,
PBS.
Actually,
what's interesting.
They're still fighting, but they got rid of one of their flagship programs.
But what is interesting is I was listening yesterday to a podcast, and what's her name? Audrey Cornish, who used to be with NPR, who's now on CNN, saying NPR is flourishing. They like the people have come and backed them.
Well, NPR is still in existence, but a lot of people access NPR through PBS here, and they cut the federal funding to PBS. So in those rural areas where they might have Fox on one hand, but do get PBS, and like PBS, they've cut the funding to those places.
Yes.
So a lot of those places no longer have PBS. They no longer have their Sesame Street for their little kids. So this is where we are going, and not only that, but as this is going on, then they cut federal funding to states that he didn't like. Why did you cut the federal funding to Minnesota? Don't say it's because of the fraud behind daycare. Well, guess what? You prosecuted that case back in 2020 when you were president the first time. And things have been, it's something that's already been settled. You opened it up right now to justify your racism against the Somalis. Let's be clear, because those are the only daycares that you were going after, and then sending a influencer, not a researcher, not someone with the right background, an influencer to go knocking on the doors of daycare centers. Let me tell you something. Everyone who's a parent who's taking a kid to daycare knows this. They don't let strangers into the daycare where the kids are.
That's true.
Especially when you come up with a camera crew.
And they went on off hours, and it's been proven that the same asshole who did this also was over in Israel doing the same thing. What they wanted them to. It's backed by them. It's backed by Christian nationalism. It's backed by the GOP. They are very happy to spin. They don't like the fact that Aaron and Harry and Don Lemon and Joy are all out here telling the truth. So they're trying to combat that with who's within their own camps. But the problem is they're too stupid to understand that it's very easy for us to track what's real and what's not.
And it's very clear who, it's always funny to me, the people who are like, oh, well, the Democrats are sheep. it's always the thinking, it's always the thinking people who are called the sheep, and the people who don't think and just accept things that are like, oh, I have a free mind. And you know how you know you're right? Because when you see the number of people who object, I was very surprised. And there was a white woman who actually was talking. She made this passionate plea to other white women about this particular thing, and I was amazed at how the response to her from other white women. This is a white woman talking to white women, and I was amazed at the response. Then we're like, well, I wear this T-shirt and I do that, and she's like, but that was not her point. Was, look, it's our time to get out in the streets now. These, not only is this they're doing this to us, but they also are trying to force us back into the house and to be barefoot and pregnant. And we have to stand up. We have to stand up about it. And what I saw was every excuse to not doing it, and then pushing back on the person that was telling them, hey, guess what? We own this, because more than half of us voted for this guy and for this. And they're like, well, I didn't do. And it's like, wait a second. The same way that we have to own our own folks when they do wrong, because you force us to, you got to own your own when they don't do right, and hopefully preach to them, talk to them, get them to see another way. And you're not doing that. And it's that separation from the group, I think, is why when they're like, I don't understand MAGA. Well, you know what? There's this one woman who I actually responded to on Blue Sky, because I thought it was ridiculous. When she was like, well, I think that, what they're doing is vile. I think Trump is horrible, but my mother-in-law loves him, and da, 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 da. And then the kids, started repeating what my mother-in-law said. And it's like, oh, I thought the kids were going to be okay, but I guess they're not. And my question to her was, who's raising them? Because if you think he's vile and your mother-in-law doesn't, how is it that she's outranking you with your own kids?
Oh, God.
And who's teaching them the lessons of right and wrong? Because I said, I'm not trying to pass judgment. I'm trying to understand. And then white women came back and said, well, I'll pass judgment because, my mother-in-law is a MAGA. We don't let our kids near her. And then this woman comes back, well, the kids just wanted a peaceful Thanksgiving. Peaceful Thanksgiving at whose expense? Because if your mother-in-law supports someone that is stifling the rights of your children, that is supporting an administration that is going to make things harder for her grandchildren to survive. They can't get housing, they can't go to school, no jobs. What? So what? It's worth sitting and having turkey and mashed potatoes and making small talk for one day when the rest of their lives are going to be difficult? And then here's her response to me was, well, it was a private conversation. And I said to her, then why did you mention it in a public forum? Oh, I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to center yourself, and you're trying to get attention. This is attention-seeking behavior.
Oh,
and
my
this
God.
is wrong because we were talking about the murder of a woman. And if your attention-seeking behavior is getting in the way of your resistance, you are not an ally. And you are not a resistor.
All right.
But you know what, Aisha, I'm to the point now where I don't give a shit if you are an ally or not. I ain't got time to sit back and distinguish between you. You either on board or not. I ain't going to sit here and vet you.
Right. And the bottom line is that, to me, when you do things like that, and then you get the feedback that you get, and people start to ask you questions, and then you're like, well, I didn't want comments. So then why put it out there? Keep it to yourself. Then you were seeking confirmation that letting your kids be around that person who's filling their heads with things that you don't agree with is okay. That's what you wanted.
I am going to jump in because I got to catch up on the comments. Sorry to interrupt. J.R. Houston Jack says, that was my question too. He's so afraid, but he's got his phone in his hand. Speaking about the officer. Regina says, who got that cell phone footage? Was it leaked?
They said they got it from the officer's phone. and the government put that out.
Regina also says, only the weak-minded and gullible believe that nonsense. J.R. Houston Jack says, I will say I've been hit by a car. You are not getting up and walking around.
Right.
She also says it's going to take generations to return to anything that feels like, quote, normal, unquote, whatever that is.
And on that point, though, on that point about getting back to normal, I think that things are so broken right now. We need to really start thinking about what we're going to build after and what that will look like. Because normal, like you said, whatever that is, normal wasn't working. It's obvious that normal wasn't working for a lot of people.
J.R. Houston also says it's a cover-up. She also says, and CBS is quickly becoming state media.
Yep.
That is true. I will say that as a media person, absolutely. Michelle says, long as it fits your narrative and ask no questions.
Yep.
J.R. Houston Jack says, some white women don't want to give up that privilege, even if it means being less than. And then also Michelle says, but who raised that, mom?
Right. And
person from Utah says, all this is taking eyes off fraud and Epstein file. That is true. Diversion at all costs. And another person
But is it really diversion? But I gotta say this though. The murder of a mother is not a diversion. This is what ICE is doing. The thing is that it's now just happening to white people. And that's the only difference, because they've been doing this for a whole year to people who are Black and brown. There were already 9 previous shootings, all of them in cars, before this happened. And on New Year's Day, they murdered a Black man in LA in his car. ICE. So it's not, I don't want to even say that this is taking our eyes off it. This should be something that is cold water and makes us open our eyes up bigger.
Okay. Another viewer says, selfish people, selfish ways for their own direct benefits, or wants shame on the people who feel that way. Yeah, I think to me, looking at this situation, the fact that the federal government is banning any state investigation, that says a lot to me.
Well, here's the other thing.
It says it all.
It says it all. But here's the other part. Anyone who's surprised that they would do that and cover it up, remember what happened with the Epstein files over the last few weeks that we weren't here. First, it was like, oh yeah, we released some. Then all of a sudden they found 2 million. Then it was 5.2 million, and then it was back to 2 million. And now they still haven't released all of them, less than 1%, because they're saying that we still have people that have to comb through the 5 million. Wait a second. I thought you said you did that anymore. You said that all the files were combed through already. So here we go again with something else where, first the officers were dragging out of the snow. Then it was that she was following them all day. First it was that she was blocking them when they were just trying to dig their cars out the snow. Then she was following them all day, but then she had dropped her kid off at school. Then he was afraid for his life, even though he was surrounded by 4 other people that had guns who were there with him. But then he walked away from the person that he was afraid of because he had to go put his attention. So guess what? This government they cover up everything. Look what they're doing in Venezuela. At first, we're going to
get to that.
The thing is, like, it's this and then it's that, and so
but Aisha, you have to you understand this. You're very intelligent. That diversion, and it just seems a pattern with this administration. When they do something wrong, they won't admit it. They will double down.
Right, and I think that's why we can't call it a distraction or a diversion. I think that because the thing is that their approach is not here. This thing's going on, so we're going to cause this shiny thing to go on. No, it's the kitchen sink approach. They're throwing everything at us, including the kitchen sink at once, hoping that we are too simple-minded, like the people that vote for them, to see everything as a problem. Okay. And we can only just focus on the one thing.
We got a question also, but Michelle says using the ICE agents video was to direct attention longer onto the murder. Also, it's also to dehumanize Renee Nicole Good. She also says allies don't risk much. We need more abolitionists who will risk their lives. She also says, Lala, I emailed you a diagram on allyship.
Got it. I'll share it.
And then this gentleman says America has too much racism in it. We are breaking up America so other countries can take us over. Democrats and Republicans get our lives in order, like the song says, lean on me. And then there's a question from a little while back that J.R. Houston Jack has. I'll go back up here. She says, I don't want to go down this path, but what are your thoughts of persons like Stephen A. Smith commenting on this event? How do you believe this impacts folks who give him their ears?
Well, here's the thing. I'm sure everybody's entitled to their opinion. However, Stephen A. Smith deliberately gets paid to muck up the gears, to put trash in there, to put filler out there, to you want to talk about a distraction? He is a distraction.
Yeah.
Podcasters like him are the distraction, not the events taking place. Their job is literally to go out there and confuse the public for money. Okay, so how does this impact people who give them their ears? Well, guess what? They're people who want to be lied to, because if they wanted real information, they would listen to what he had to say. Then they go look at the video themselves. Then they go start reading a bunch of different things and then looking at that to formulate opinions. Here's the thing. Trump is taking this opportunity. Why are they going like this? Because he remembers how bad the George Floyd stuff looked on his administration right before an election. And there's an election, a consequential election this year that could result in a legislature that could hold him accountable. And he doesn't want this.
Well, I think the other day he even said to a group of Republicans, if we don't get back in, I'm going to get impeached.
Yeah. And then this thing happens. And so this, the way that they're trying to spin this, because guess what? They were out here calling her a domestic terrorist and all kinds of things before they even identified who she was. Okay.
Oh,
And
honey,
so-
Christy jumped out there so quick. She
Right.
jumped out there so quick with her fake little cowboy hat, and she was out there just riding that horse of lies.
Right. And the thing of it is that we're going to be in this for another 3 years, 1 year at least, we know for sure. And what we're seeing here is, because if anybody forgot 2025 or needs a synthesis of 2025 was about him going to settle old scores from his first administration while Stephen Miller and the rest executed Project 2025 underneath. Well, this time Project 2025 has flipped on its back. It's out there now. People are starting to be like, okay, and guess what? They're just going ahead with it anyway, and they're very flagrant about it, right? And it reminds me. I was in the car the other day, and it reminded me of a line from Notorious B.I.G. where he says, federal agents mad because I'm flagrant, tap myself in the phone in the basement. Literally is what this government is doing. They're flagrantly doing this stuff in front of our faces, because guess what? The whole thing is like, who's going to check us? Come get us. If you're about that life, come get us. We're going to do what we want to do.
Which goes back to the Supreme Court a number of years ago, basically giving 47 count blank on he can do whatever he wants and not be prosecuted. All right. Back to Michelle says, back to Aisha's point, we need to create models of what USA 2.0 will look like. We've always talked about deconstruction, but what does it look like and how does it function? Another viewer said,
period. That's just a good question, because for one, I don't mean, because I want to get to some more comments, but honestly, we really do need to take a look at that, because that's not something that's going to happen overnight. We are going to be living with this for quite a few generations before we even turn this around.
Right.
Michelle says, have you all previously talked about how Democrats in Congress can slow this down, yet they are not?
Yes.
The challenge is that because they are in the minority, they don't have they can't call hearings, official hearings on the record. They can't bring things to the floor or anything like that. But take heart, right? Remember, they lost Marjorie Taylor Greene last week. And then one of their members died on Monday from a complication. Yes.
But
And so they're just one seat. There's a one seat
I'm just going to
advantage.
put this up. Jared Houston Drive says they're working on Project 2026 and actively working to undo everything folks have fought for. But one thing, and I was listening to a commentator say, why didn't Marjorie Greene stay? Because her vote would have meant a lot.
No,
it wouldn't. Because Marjorie Taylor Greene still believes in those policies. On her way out the door, she filed a whole bunch of anti-trans bills.
Oh, she did.
Yes.
She did. Yes.
Then she should obviously. Some people would probably say she's good. She's gone.
Right, but so they're going to run they're going to run a race to fill her seat, and Texas is going to run the race to fill the seat that has been vacant for an entire year. From Sheila Jackson Lee passing away, and then the guy that won her seat dying like within days of being sworn in. So they've been without representation for a year, right? And so those two races are coming up. And right now, Mike Johnson only has a one seat lead. And this stuff that's going on in Venezuela has pulled some Republicans away for that War Times Act that they just voted on. But then the stuff about the health care, 17 Republicans just voted with Democrats to restore the ACA subsidies. And so there are signs of some breaking away. But on the big things, I mean, I'm not saying healthcare is not a big thing. I'm talking about on the things like presidential power and those kinds of things. Where are they going to stand?
All right. I think we have worked on this one long enough. So what we're going to do, but it's all part of a whole bigger thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to play a short video for our next conversation piece, which happened while the ladies were away. And I've been wanting to hear what they got to say on this. So just give us a moment. We're going to play a video and then we're going to get into our next conversation topic. So give us here. Here we go.
In a stunning turn, U.S. forces captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro in a dramatic raid on Caracas, flying him to New York to face criminal charges. The operation, openly tied to securing Venezuela's vast oil reserves, sparked global outrage. The United Nations condemned the move as a violation of international law, with Russia, China, and others warning of dangerous precedent. Inside Venezuela, the economy spiraled. Political detainees were released, and fears of unrest grew. Now the world watches. Will Venezuela see a peaceful transition, prolonged U.S. oversight, or slide into deeper conflict? The next chapter is uncertain, but its impact will be global.
I've been wanting to hear your ladies' take on this. I'm so happy to see that you are now on your way to taking over another country. Thoughts?
I don't. I've been reading about Maduro's leadership and how the kind of leader he is, and I don't believe that for a lot of people who are objecting to what's going on in Venezuela, that it's about getting rid about that the leader, because here's the thing, the leadership can be evil, and us going in and taking somebody else's leader out to try them in our courts can also be bad. Okay, two things can be true at the same time here, because here's the thing, we have a bad leader.
Thank you.
And do you know the ways in which MAGA would lose their ever-loving minds if the European Union came, or because you look, you're going against one of our own NATO partners. If they came, and I mean Greenland, not that. If they came and decided, hey, Trump's got to go, They're shooting American citizens in the streets dead for exercising their First Amendment, right? So that administration's got to go. What if the rest of the world, because the rest of the world looks at us the same way, what if they did that to this country? How would people reflect? Not only that, but this man can't even run this country. How the hell is he going to run another one? People here can't afford things. They can't afford their electric bills. They can't afford rent. They can't afford food. The cost of food keeps going up and up and up. And wait a second. So our cost, and let's be very clear, whenever we get into some kind of armed conflict like that, and there's the potential for putting boots on the ground, I know there are a lot of young people who were either babies or not alive during the first Gulf War or during the post 9/11 wars. The prices on everything go up. Prices are already high. Okay, and then beyond that, the fact that the vice president, this is Maduro's person. So what did we do there? But we removed him. That's like guess what? Donald Trump leaves somehow the White House. JD Vance takes over. How are we going to be any better with that? Then are they any better? Right? And then this idea that, well, maybe if the woman who was duly elected gives me her Nobel Peace Prize, I'll make her the president. You stay out of their elections when you sit here. When you're here complaining about election interference in United States elections, you got Texas over here turning over the voter rolls,
voting records,
registration information of all their residents to the federal government. My state is being punished because our Secretary of State, AG, and governor said we're not doing that. So how is it that you're doing the things that this is the biggest problem. The things that you are saying that you want to help the people over there to not have, we already have here. And why they should expect anything different than what we're dealing with here, I don't understand that. I understand wanting to be up from under an oppressive regime, because guess what? That's what we're living through right now.
But not only that, listen, there are plenty other countries that are living under those god-awful conditions too. What is the difference between them and Venezuela? The oil and the minerals and the things that they have there. Let's not forget that a lot of the voting machines were also built in Venezuela. Okay, so there's a whole lot of things that are just not being talked about and just being accepted. And let's also not forget, let's face it, guys. What did he say he was going to do with this oil? He said he was going to take the money and in a offshore account. Whose?
Right. And here's the other part I want to, he's like, oh, it's going to bring so much jobs. Guess what? I have news for Americans. Those jobs aren't going to be American jobs, because guess what? The people who will be getting the oil, which it's going to be very time consuming. It's going to take years. It's going to be very difficult, right? The people who are going to be doing that job are Venezuelans. So all these people talk about, oh, well, it'll be American. No, it won't. Unless Americans are going to go to that. But guess what? It's then at that point, you're also talking about additional government resources that come out of your tax dollars that you so badly are upset about. Remember, like, you make $50,000 a year, or is it 4,000 goes to DHS and the military, where only 36 goes to SNAP, but and you're more worried about the 36 than the 4,000, but I digress. Who's going to go those? Do you know who's paying for all that? it's going to be $100 billion investment from the oil companies. Do you know where that $100 billion is coming from? Remember the big, beautiful bill tax breaks that he's giving to those corporations? That's where the money's coming from. And you know how those tax breaks are being paid for? The tax dollars of working Americans.
And here's what's just happened today. And nobody's really talking about it. I imagine that it'll be picked up real soon. But Trump has now declared a national emergency over the oil that we have seized. He said the creditors are now coming after us, the United States of America, people who we owe, because we now claim that we control this oil. So he has literally put out a national emergency protection order because he needs to protect us from our creditors. You don't understand what that means, baby girls and boys out there. That means all the people that we owe have claim to what they want, and they can call due what they have given us.
And guess what? Something that we know as regular people that he doesn't know is that when your creditors want their money, they have many ways to go about getting it. Because see, Donald Trump has never had to pay his creditors back. He just gets another creditor pay the past creditor and lives on what that creditor gives him. So, yeah. And remember this. The thing that he said, well, China shouldn't have the access. Guess what China said? You're right. We don't need access to it. We'll just call due everything America owes us.
And
that'll give us access to it. Because remember who, we talk about, people don't understand, why can't we just get rid of China? And our relationship with China is a difficult one because they own so much of our debt. And I don't think Americans understand that. If I'm not mistaken, they own the majority of our debt.
Yeah, but let me tell you just how stupid this is. This man has been out here hollering about this is ours, ours, ours. Basically mine, right? The order that he signed today says this. Now, this is just plain sight. The order said the funds are the sovereign property of Venezuela held in the United States custody and are not assets subject to private claims. Did he just not say that these are mine? That's exactly what he said. And now he's saying that, oh, that's not really ours. So which one is it, dumbass?
Right. I mean, yeah. So we're at a point where we borrow, and I think that American people understand. We borrow a lot of money from people. That's why they owe debt to us. So for a lot of those foreign wars, your government and things that you don't know about your government, a lot of those foreign wars, like Afghanistan, all those wars in Iraq and stuff, we actually had to. We used our money, but we also had to borrow money.
And baby, don't think that NATO wasn't included in that.
Right.
These are NATO countries.
Yes. And not only that, let's be clear about this too. He's bragging about we're going to get 50 million gallons or barrels of oil, and he's bragging about this as if that's like a big accomplishment. Do you know how much the U.S. produces in, I believe it's a week?
But if I can interrupt here in regards to this, first of all, if I'm not mistaken, the United States is the biggest oil producer in the world. Second of all, who gonna give all these oil companies the money to do this thing? Where's that coming from? And then another point too is, if this oil goes to market, it's going to flood the market, which will drive the prices of oil down, which oil companies are not happy with already with the price of oil. And again, who's going to control the money, the revenues from this sale of oil?
Donald Trump is going to control it in his own bank account. Let's be very clear about that.
That's what the offshore is about.
Right.
But hold on a second, lady. I thought this was about drugs.
No, but here's the other part about it.
I know you're not trying to convince us.
Listen, even if it was about oil, right? Even if it was just about oil, understand what this also means for American oil producers, right? Or gas companies and things like that. And Americans who work to produce the oil here, they are competing with another country that we're also, so wait a second. So if we control the oil in Venezuela and they can do it cheaper, so this guy who's quote unquote America first is going to take the oil from Venezuela to sell it to Americans, while the people who are producing the American oil, what's going to happen? They're going to go out, they're going to end up losing jobs because
Let me just
and the price. Here's the thing about the price of oil, the price of gas. He's not going the amount of money and time it's going to take to even. They're like their oil is so crude.
Yes.
So deep under the ground,
dirty oil,
sludgy. They've got to build refineries, which they say can take 10 years to build a really good refinery to then refine that oil so that it could be used and distributed and sold. Right. And it's not worth that initial $100 billion investment to it. But he says they're going to be reimbursed by profit. Well, the companies already have done their own projections. Wait, so I'm supposed to put up this amount of money to get to this $100 billion, this $100 billion, and then wait 25 years. And yes, we do have refineries in the USA, but you have to be able to get that crude oil and then to transport it to the US refineries also costs money. Hello.
And baby, he's offering the Venezuelan people and the people of Greenland all this money. Where does money come from?
Yeah.
Okay. Ray M. Fix says the president of America talks about human rights in the country he wants to colonize, but he does not talk about the human rights that are being violated in his own dictatorship.
And that's the amazing thing. The same day that an ICE agent shoots a woman in the face, he's talking about human rights in another country.
Also says American actions do not seem to align with international law. International law, quote, cannot only apply to enemies, unquote.
Correct.
Also says there's no trace of humanity left in America. The country is heading towards a dictatorship, not to mention human rights.
And you know what, Ray, I don't even think we're here. And I think the more people get used to that and start speaking in those terms, I think the sooner we'll get to a point where we're seeing real fight back. Because I think right now people are like, we're heading this way. We're getting close to it. We're here. We're here.
Another person here says $8 for milk. Giselle's friend of Lala says the wet dream of Europe dragging that thing down. Having you in cuffs. Yeah, this
ain't no loud.
Like, that's the thing, right? And I'm just saying because of facts. I thought this was all about the drugs, but the regime is still in place. It's just Maduro that's gone.
Exactly. And see, and that's the whole thing. This wasn't regime change, because even if it was, it's like the whole regime, right, would be gone. It's not about the drugs, because honestly, the drugs that flood this country aren't coming from Venezuela. And let's be clear, the thing that he says, there's a reason why Venezuela only produces 1% of the world's oil, and that is because of the infrastructure needed to get the oil underneath, and how far they have to go and what they have to do to it. There's a reason why they only produce 1%. And the projection is that by the time Trump does all this stuff in 10 years, that 1% could probably go to 2%.
J.R. Houston Jack says the foolery is maddening. And she also goes, as an honorary New Yorker, I know he doesn't understand money or math.
Please, no. Look.
He still takes his briefings and photos.
Y'all forget
what the kindergartners do.
He's the reason why Atlantic City is not thriving the way that it had before. And anybody surprised about what he's doing to the White House? He him demolishing his casino in Atlantic City hurt the other casinos around it because nobody wanted to look at the open store that he just left there. It really did hurt tourism.
Well,
And he's already got his eyes on the prize for other buildings now he wants to demolish in Washington.
Oh, and he's trying to build something right in front of the Lincoln Memorial, a memorial to himself. So yeah, we're not getting close to a dictatorship. We're in a dictatorship. And what is the first thing they say? The dictators, the first thing that they start to take over are the arts, like what he did with the Kennedy Center. And then they start to put their name on everything, just like he's calling it the Don Roe Doctrine. He co-opted and Columbused the Monroe Doctrine.
okay, so our last, it'll be very interesting to see, but Maduro always seems to be past history now because people
everything is past. You off to the next flood. That flood's over.
Look, the next flood is our next topic.
So anything for diversion. All right, our last conversation topic, and someone talked about this in the comments. 47 wants Greenland. What's really behind this power move?
Okay. So one, he clearly wants to build some kind of golf thing there. We've known that for a while now. But this is about how many people are in Greenland?
Well, here's another point. Americans can go to Greenland as it is already. And I do see there were a large number of American bases that were shut down in Greenland. But I keep on I ask more and more, how does this benefit the average American?
Well,
This is not about the average American. This is all about lining the pockets of this orange shit pants man and the people who line up behind him. This is nothing to do about the American people. There is no danger in Greenland. There's nothing but greed.
Well, here's the other part, and this is even closer to where Stephen Miller is on Greenland, because I think that behind this, he really is thinking about that. They're trying very hard to increase, because remember, we're in the midst of a demographic shift in the United States, and in 4 years we'll have a census that will tell us exactly how diverse the people of this country are, right? Because the reporting is that the majority of people who are under 21 are majority minority. So this demographic shift is happening, and there's fear there. So that is why they're giving money to incentivize white South African kids to come to this country. That's why they're trying to give money to the people of Greenland, because they're trying to increase the numbers. What place where we know there are a lot of white people can we take over to add their numbers to ours, and then maybe get them to come over here, and or we ship people over there? But the point is, this is an imperial presidency, okay? Yep. He's trying to take over as much land and conquer. We haven't seen the United States do this kind of conquering in a long time, right? So that's one thing that he's trying to do. The other thing is that they are looking for, and Greenland, don't be surprised if this comes out, they are looking for a place to put a lot of the people that they are trying to detain. They're looking for a place to put some prisons, because remember that thing that happened where they had to close Alcatraz in Florida it sets a precedent for some others. So they're looking for a place to do this. They're looking for a place where they can get away with hiding some of these things, and that's why put it this way, there's an escalation. They're trying to get to, what is it, 1 million people a month or something like that.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. They are now literally going door to door.
Yeah,
door to door.
And here's the thing, that's how you know we're not in America, right? They're going door to door, regardless of who, to see if everybody in that residence is an American citizen. Small government people. How is that small government? Right to privacy, people. How is that the right to privacy?
It's fine as long as it's not them, Aisha. They
Right.
always see it as that's their problem.
Right. And I mean, everybody should feel safe in the homes that they pay for, that the government does not pay for. You should feel safe in your person. But this country is not doing that. The goal is to make people as uncomfortable as possible.
So is this just more wanting to benefit the grifters?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
There is no other way to explain that. There is no explanation needed. It's
Mhm.
about money and power, not the American people, not at all. It's whatever they can grab while they can. And he feels completely untouchable. So therefore, he is absolutely doing everything that he possibly can. I'm just praying in my lifetime that I see that this goes down in the international courts and they get what they deserve. Do I feel that it's going to happen in my lifetime? No, but sometimes I just have to hold on to the hope, because what is happening in our country should have never been allowed in the first place. A felon should not be running our country. And the fact that people believed in him and stood behind him so bad and so much tells you just what's wrong with this country in the first place.
Right. I mean, the fact that a president who was convicted of 34 counts, felony counts, arrested another country's president on felonies. Let that sit with you.
Do you feel that the United States will do the same sort of move on Greenland? Well, do you think it will take over Greenland this year?
It's going to try.
They're going to try.
They're going to try, and because he's already told you he's going to. This ain't nothing new. He said that this is what he was going to do. But what I think he is going to underestimate is just how much NATO is going to be able to pull together to fight against this. He literally said he's willing to leave NATO. Why? NATO does nothing for them.
Well, but
That
he
does nothing
here's
for
the,
him.
we won't get a
It does nothing for him personally.
right, but we won't get a chance to leave NATO because they're going to kick us out. The European Union, the NATO partners, issued a statement yesterday or the day before where they had to acknowledge that Greenland is a sovereign nation, also a NATO member, and any attack on a NATO member by another NATO partner will put you out of NATO, and then the NATO partners will have to support the partners
That's right.
attacked. That is how it works. And I don't think that most Americans don't understand NATO. They just hear Trump say, "Oh, it's something we pay money into." No, it's really our protection around the world. You know, it's like, look, look, if you're gonna fight a battle, don't you want some people on your side in other countries to help? Raise? Right, he doesn't. He thinks that we can do this from all encompassing. And let me be very clear. The stuff about Greenland ramped up because this man is high on his own supply. He got to sit there in the Situation Room and watch all kinds of and watch the things go down in Venezuela. So now he's like, "Ooh, I can do this, I can do that," et cetera, et cetera. And the problem that we have and that he doesn't understand is that I think this needs to be said. The way that Americans understand history and our position in the world is from a very mythological point of view. We honestly believe, because we don't read other people's press, we don't learn what other people learn, right? We have a very supremacist basis for how we teach history about the world. We teach it from our standpoint where America is central to everything else. And it really isn't. It really isn't. The world is much bigger than just our country. And so because we teach history like that, we think that we are the biggest power in the world, right? if that were the case, don't you think that we would probably own more of the globe than we actually do if we were? No, we're not. But I can tell you one thing that we are. We are right now threatening the security of our country by having this man who is reckless about the mouth running off and talking about, oh, I'm gonna control that country, I'm gonna control that country. Oh, Colombia's next, and this and that. And you know what? And oh, if you don't do this, if you don't give in to me, I'm gonna take it by force. Guess what? Not only does the protection that you were given by this Supreme Court here not hold outside of the borders of this country, all the stuff you are doing is what radicalizes other countries, people in other countries against us to formulate plans for terrorist attacks against us.
All right. Someone from YouTube says, I'm from the UK, and it seems that the US no longer needs friends. Same person.
Let's be clear. No, you need to separate. You need to separate that. It is the orange one in the White House who doesn't want any friends. The majority of American people understand what this means, and they understand being global citizens. So it's not all. It's just the orange shit pants in the White House.
If you,
that comment by L. Roberts is correct.
And that is, well, says, look at what's going on globally. It's not about oil. It's about being at a fast pace at each region, having territories like Russia, China, and now the U.S. region. Something is happening globally. Yeah, I've heard some reports about that it sounds like there could be a master plan that China will have its certain region overseeing.
Well, they're trying to have their new world order. If you ever read that book, New World Order, before, we're here right now. And I really hurt because people from the UK that are watching this, SG, the majority voted for Trump. The way that our electoral college works, this is apparently the first time that he won a majority of the vote. He didn't win majority any of the other times because of, and he won the electoral college, and we have questions about those things. But here's the thing: more people didn't vote than voted for him, and that is something that I think we as a country have to grapple with. It is people who don't get involved too, and how. And I gotta really say this about Democrats on this particular issue. I think Democrats need to stop doing the one thing that nobody asks Republicans to do. You never hear anyone say, well, Republicans got to fix their language and do this so that they can get more Democratic voters to come over to their side and vote for them. Not one person in the media says it. Not one pundit says it on the Democratic side. Not one pundit says that on the right. But they always say that Democrats need to do this and this so they can attract more Republican voters. Forget those voters. Figure out about the people that are out there that just didn't vote. What can you say to them? Because there's more of them than there are those Republicans that are going to have a crisis of consciousness and decide that they're going to switch.
Okay. And Michelle says,
I also need to say this to you, my love. Aisha was being polite. I'm not going to be. He did not win. This election was clearly stolen. And it has been proven that it's been stolen. And the statistics have come out. The results have come out from this result. But what do you do now that it has been done?
Right.
Because in actuality, he did not win.
Right. And I'm hoping that the thing that we take from what happened in Minneapolis is that the demographic, and let's be very clear, there's one demographic that he wins overwhelmingly. Actually, two. White men, 70+%. White women, over 51%. Until that demographic changes, there's like, there's going to be what there's going to be supporting him.
Right. Michelle says, hold on, Black Americans don't claim America like that. We cheer for everyone Black, period. And oh gosh. All right.
But though, I have to say this. I'm to a point now where I feel like every day I feel like I need a break from America, to the point that when I turn off news, like I did yesterday, after this show's over, I'm done. I go and I'm watching BritBox, Acorn TV, and I got a Nigerian channel or Ghanaian channel that I watch some shows on. And I'm so disgusted with this country right now and needing a break from it. I can't even watch our shows and stuff here that depict our life. I need to see people thriving and living in other places because otherwise I feel like if I don't, I will lose my concept of what freedom is supposed to look like.
On that note,
yeah,
we're going to call it. We'll call it on that note. Huh. And here's a final comment. Come to England. I
really
too bad if you were watching this. But you go and the same comment. Actually, it's freezing here. Don't LOL.
It's 29 degrees outside here in Connecticut. So
okay.
And raining.
All right. We have called it the first show back in the new year. As always, it was amazing. So let's finish everything off. So as always, I want to thank Aisha and Lala for spending time with us today. I got to get my stuff here. I just got to, there we go. We're done now officially. Fantastic. And as always, we want to thank them for giving the most important thing, their time to hang out with us. So before we leave, we're going to say contact information. First up, the Lala.
I'll make it very easy for you. You can go to my website, which is laurakey.net. And I have a lot of great information in there about if you're thinking about moving abroad, because, you just can't take this anymore. And everyone's peace of mind and peace should be a priority for your life in order to be a good human. Then go to my website, because I actually do have a quiz and some information about moving abroad. I also have a Etsy shop to help you kind of some fun coloring affirmation books, a couple of really fun articles of clothing. So please check me out at Etsy.com. My shop is called Living the Lala Life.
Fantastic. Great to have you back. Aisha K.
Those are all the places that you can find out more information about me. I do my Blue Sky, mostly akstaggers.bsky.social, but of course, I'm selective about whose information I watch. So if you're going to try and troll, you can't do that. But my goal is to protect peace. So if you really want to get in touch, got to join our Discord.
Like that. Well done. Well done. Nice take. Nice take. All right. Before we call, still some final comments. My goodness. Michelle says, love tonight's show as per usual. All right. Thank you. Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. So before we shut it down, as always, if you want to get a hold of me, the best way is to go to taplink.cc/the drvibeshow.com. And you can watch replays of this epic conversation on the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and on the Dr. Vibe Show website, the drvibeshow.com. Wow, what a conversation day. But it's the same as always. The ladies always bring the fire. So as always, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions. Aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace. And if you're not making money, make history. Try to do both. And as always, make it better. Excuse me. That was good water. God bless. Peace to all. Keep the faith. Walk good. And we'll catch you on the digital highway. And stay safe. Take care.
To understand how afraid I am of any member of the rodent family that's down to squirrels and chipmunks. Okay, I cannot stand all members of the rodent family. Rabbits, bunnies, no. What else is going on that day? I mean, is there something we're supposed to be doing?
Why are you going there? Why are you going there? You know I'm going to ask you. It falls the same day as the inauguration of the new president.
The what? Excuse me? I'm sorry?
So in other words, Monday.
So onesies. Now, folks, don't ever think you're going to see us all on a show with onesies on. Don't do that.
You might see me. You might see me.
You'll see me and Lala because we oftentimes wear ours.